Hey everyone, welcome to TERRI TV. Sorry I'm a couple of minutes late today. I was so excited that I was able to broadcast privately on my Terry's Tribe page, and it went smooth as silk, Kessler. So I was just so excited. I actually figured out why I was having a little trouble with StreamYard. So I just had lots to share with the tribe today. And here I am. I'm happy to see you, excited to see you. Love to see you. And you probably read the thumbnail and said, the one, what is she talking about? You are the one. And so on and so forth. I'll get to that in a minute. First of all, I'm Terri Hardin, pop icon and Disney Imagineer, legendary Disney Imagineer. And my history is great. I'm just going to say that up front. If you're joining us today, welcome. And if you're joining us after the live broadcast, welcome. I hope you will return and join us and consider subscribing because this channel is crazy. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you. This is the kind of thing that pops in, is this the one thing that I'm going to be talking about later on today. First and foremost, and yes, I see that there. First and foremost, I just want to give a shout out to you guys because those of you who know that I love films and who love films too, I want you to think on this while I talk about a couple of other things. I want to just kind of check at a couple of things, but I just want to say right now that I was relaxing on Sunday. Sunday is my family day. And we were watching several different films we hadn't seen in a while. One of the things that hit me was how many times in films they say he/she, they are the one. And they do a face like this. Grogu, he is the one. Protect the one. We watched Matrix yesterday. I hadn't seen it in a while. And Nemo is the one. There's a shot of Trinity. She's so beautiful. One of my favorite female characters in a movie. I just love her. She is just fabulous. I have nothing negative to say about this actress in this role. She is amazing. And she looks into the camera, big giant face. He is the one. And then, of course, everybody goes, the one, the one, the one. If you look at several other films, it's the same deal. As early as a movie like The Ten Commandments, and I'm sure it goes earlier. I'm just showing you what I recall, right? In the Ten Commandments, you are the one who will deliver us. You are, I have beheld my eyes on you, thy deliverer. The one, the one. The one. So those of you out there that are really super smart on your film lore, go ahead, or if you're not and you have a favorite, post it in the comments and let's talk about the ones, because I was saying to my husband yesterday, there should be a meme where someone has cut together all of these people going, you are the one, you are the one, the one. In Dune, Paul Mobdib, he's the one. And I just thought, it's almost the same camera angle every time they say the one. I just thought it was something that I would pop out and say, to me, you are all the one. A magical being. Okay. Yes. I just thought it was great. It's great. Let's see what we've got here. And one of the things I just love is as it counts down, Crazy Mike has taken it upon himself to count down to when I do it. And I hope that's entertaining for you. But a couple of times I'll look through his comments and they're also give you some hacks and are informative. So, this is a free and open channel, and I love the playfulness of all of you there. So if it should have any kind of effect on you that, maybe you like it or you don't like it or whatever. Just understand that this is my free channel, and this is the channel where, as long as you're good and kind to each other, you're not mean and nasty, I'm happy to hear what you say, even if it's a riddle, a pun, a song, I'm open. So you got to make a choice, right? Okay. The thing I wanted to point out to you before we get started is I wanted to tell you about my tribe, Terri's Tribe, on my Patreon page. For as little as $5 a month, you can be a part of it. And I always broadcast before this broadcast privately on our special page Monday and Fridays. And then Mondays and Fridays, as you know, I either will do a live on Monday with a pre-record on Friday, which, heads up, this is going to be more what I do so I can get more into my work. I've got lots of things I've got to do as an artist, and I'd like to get back to those. Not that I don't want to see you, but I need to pull back just a little bit. And I have a Zoom call on Wednesdays with my tribe. So consider paying that $5 a month, getting in and getting to chat with us. It is a different kind of channel. We are family, and we discuss a lot of things that we cannot discuss with me privately, that cannot be discussed on a public platform. Okay, I am mixed races. I'm half black, I'm half white. And there's a lot of people who are curious about certain things about that, and they want to ask certain questions. They're not rude about it. They're kind. We lead with tolerance and kindness across the board. If they're affected by things in the world, we talk about that. And plus, we talk about if you want to make a living doing what you love, especially if it's something creative for you. Okay, so maybe you have a day job, but you like to paint, or you have a day job and you have a passion for numbers or whatever. Being an artist means you're passionate about what you do, but you may not be in a position to do what you love exclusively for your artwork. So I help you and guide you in ways that you can do that. And I have a very, very amazing track record in helping people, but I do it on this Patreon page. So consider going to here, patreon.com/Terri Hardin, and joining us. It's $5. It's not handcuffing you to that. If you go in and you just don't, it's not for you, it's not for you. And you can step out as easily as you stepped in. I don't lock you in for a year. I don't do any of that. Okay. So I'd love to have you come check it out. And you'll see the difference right away. It is an amazing thing. Right now we are doing some designing together. I often call my tribe, my family, my creative family, to help me design things. And I'm getting ready to design a couple of things for Ghostbusters, not the franchise, but for myself, and that I will be offering for sale. So they're the first to learn all of this stuff. And that's pretty good for $5 a month. You realize you can put a jar by your door or on your dresser and throw a quarter in it every day and you have the fee. So I always keep it at the $5 fee because I know how much you need to have joy in your life. So come to bring joy, and your voice needs to be heard in a positive way. So if you're a positive, upbeat person who tends to just not seem to be able to smile as much as you used to, or you can and you want to just help others to smile, then this page is for you. Right? You can just listen to me tell stories. That's there too. Okay. All righty, my friends. Also, if you want to donate to Chalk, I do a Chalk walk every year. This is how you do that. Okay. No pressure. Trust me. Those who want to donate, please do. This is the link. Those who want to bypass this, think it's a commercial, you're allowed to do whatever you want. Okay. I'm just letting those who know that it's out there. All right. Okay. Let's get back to you, because you are what matters today. And again, like I said, you are the one. I just got a kick out of that, guys. I gotta tell you, it just gave me a giggle. I just suddenly realized how many movies take almost the same pose, the one, and it just trips me out. So I thought we could talk about it today. Okay. This is something from Crazy Mike, who says, when you have fans for WDW, buy the rechargeable AA 4 batteries and charger. The charger will run you around $23. So if you have 2 fans, bring 4 extra batteries. Costs more upfront, but you can swap batteries and recharge in the room. So it sounds like this is something to keep cool, because we all know how comfortable Walt Disney World is. And I think that is a good piece of advice. Mike goes on to say, you'll save lots of money on the one recharge, and using regular batteries you toss away, you can spend around $100 over 10 days. The recharge batteries will pay for themselves over and over again. It's really an interesting point and a good one. So that's very, very nice of Mike to put this out here. He continues to say, I mean, this is Get to Know More Monday, right? I think this is neat, right? So he also, I'm going to have a cup of tea before I finish. He also says, I'm running my Disney fans right now to just charge the batteries a few times so they hold longer charges. So far, they've lasted 2 hours now, 45 minutes still going full power. I hope to get 3 or 4 more. 3 or 4 hours more, not 3 or 4 more fans. Let me read it right. So that's kind of cool, right? That this is here. And oh, I see. He's saying about my plants, but I don't plant. So you saw that. Let's see. Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. The needs of the many outweighs the needs of the one. Well done, Mike. Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. The needs of the one outweighs that of the many. You know what I mean? It is true, isn't it, Mike? It really blows you away. Yeah. I also am going to digress in another thing. I have a great, fantastic neighborhood, and I had a freezer that I needed to get rid of it. And you put it on your lawn, you put a little sign, and it says, "Works, take it." Sometimes people will take it, and sometimes people won't take it. But we had it out, and nobody seemed to be interested. So we have this little neighborhood website that you can post free stuff on. I got to tell you, I put the post up yesterday, and it hadn't been 5 minutes before my freezer was gone. It was off my lawn. It gave me great joy, because it's great to know that there's an app like this where you could put something out on the lawn and say, it's here. If you guys need it, here's the situation. I always write whenever I'm talking about something that I'm giving away or I'm selling. I try to write something interesting and fun and silly so people enjoy the read, because reads can be so boring. But I was really flattered by that. So I just wanted to tell you, it's really neat to actually see that that God Junk commercial where she points and it goes bling, and does like Disney music. Kind of felt like that. I mean, kind of did. I didn't have to pay $800 for them to take it away. It was very nice. Very, very, very nice. So that's great. Terry says, heads up makes me think of guillotine tests more of heads off and a cut above the rest. Don't lose your head too. You're welcome to lose your head. Just go easy. Walt says today, I consider it artist therapy from another loving artist. Give it a try. Love you, Terry. And thank you for this, Walt, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's lovely. It's just great to be with everyone in the tribe and to talk. I pulled out my painting. I did a painting class last week, and I pulled out my painting and showed people the struggle, because it's my first chance using water soluble oils, which are amazing, by the way. And I also painted directly on the canvas. A lot of you that paint draw first, and I did not. I wanted to just see what it was like to sketch out with a paintbrush and then just go to paint. And it was a little challenging, I'm not going to lie. So that's some of the things that happens. I go into detail about some of the things that because when you see me from the surface, you can say yes or no. But when you see me from the surface, you think that, or anybody that you are kind enough to admire, you think that we just, you tend to think that everything comes easy to us, and it doesn't. We just keep going. We just keep going. And we love learning new things. Everybody loves to learn new things. So don't let yourself be too afraid. Mistakes, one of the things my teacher said was he hated making mistakes. And so when he came to see me, he said, "This looks like a mistake." And he pointed on my painting, and I said, "No, that's a happy accident. And it's fixable. If I think that happy accident is less than happy, in oils, I can fix it. And in acrylics, I can fix it. I paint with both. I can actually say I paint with both now. I didn't say super well yet, but I'm having a good time. The journey is fun. And I highly encourage you that if you do take up painting and stuff, don't paint over all of your paintings. Keep some of those early ones, because then you can see your growth. That's the same with drawing too. I really feel strongly about this as well. So in the tribe, this is other things that we talk about. I haven't had anyone pull up a painting and ask my advice yet, or ask the advice, but I've got some great painters in there. I'm sculptor by trade, and a performer, a theatrical performer. So I'm in the Screen Actors Guild, and I'm a puppeteer. So I do all that stuff. But you can ask me. And the nice thing about being in the tribe is you've got all these wonderful voices coming together that speak together on how you can be helped, because there's so many, and they helped me as well. So this is the great thing. When I was trying to figure out paintbrushes, I reached out to a couple people. And the thing in oils is I got these oils called Cobra, and I can't wait to try those, because I hear they're really magnificent, a cut above all the other water soluble oils. So I can't wait to try them. Just got a few tubes, not a lot, for my birthday. But what I was going to say is that the artist, there's an artist who teaches you about cobras, the water mixable oils, oil paints. That's exactly it. Water mixable. If you're someone who doesn't like the toxins, which is me, these are a godsend, and I will learn to use them in the way that they'd like to be used. But he talked about a brush, a bristle brush that was like hairs, as opposed to a synthetic. And he said he loved it for painting oils. And those of you who paint in oils, I think you would chime in and say, yes. But with the water soluble oils, they clean up with water and not solvents. And I've noticed that it kind of the water messes with the bristle, the bristle brushes, the ones that aren't sable. Sable seems to not be affected by either water or oil, but when you rinse out, it tends to get fuzzy, kind of like my hair. If I don't dry it properly, it goes fuzzy. And so then the brush has a lot of like more fuzziness than that nice, clean point that you want if you're using your oil bristle brushes. So I would recommend my experience, how little it is that you don't use your oil natural hair brushes other than sable with the water mixables, because the water tends to be absorbed in not a good way on your special brushes. And those brushes are expensive and handmade, hand put together. So you really want to take good care of them. And I would keep them with your oils if you're an oil painter. I didn't find them something I like to paint with in acrylic, because they're different. Synthetic brushes to me tend to work really, really well and really, really nice. And I have a obscure brush that I absolutely love that let me see if I can find it real quick, because yeah, this is it. And it's I got it right. It's a transom. It's a transom brush. So here it is. This is a transom brush. It doesn't sound like anything special to me. I mean, if you guys know about this, it's magical with my acrylics, but in my water soluble oils, it's an absolute dream. So I went and bought some brushes so that I could dedicate a couple of brushes to my acrylics and a couple of brushes to my, whoops. I knew that was going to happen. I'll explain why that happened in a minute. But these brushes are, I used them just on a whim, and I absolutely think they are heaven. They hold the oil well, the water soluble oil well. They are not affected by the water when they're cleaned. I've been using them with acrylics. And I have a habit of buying a lot of brushes and just like trying them. Like I'll go to Michael's and I'll get those really super cheap ones. Problem with the super cheap ones is they lose their hair, and that is annoying on any level. But these Transon ones are, they're so nice. So nice. I love them. I can't get over it. And they're not like a Winsor Newton, and they're not like a Winsor Newton, and they're not like a, some of the more famous brands that are official paintbrushes. They just seem to be a comparably priced brush that is killing it. And I love them for both. So if you paint, and if you don't and want to start, I highly recommend these. They're easily found on Amazon, and they are amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Now, if you're someone who's on this channel and you say, I'm not an artist, I don't paint, blah, 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 understand. Are you passionate about what you do? Because let me tell you, I have a dentist and I have an accountant who are so passionate about what they do. They are truly artists, okay? You got the guy who does it as a job, or the woman who does it as a job, or the person who does it at the job. You got the person. When I say guy, I mean person. All right? So don't get your feathers all ruffled, okay? But you get someone who is doing it as a job, okay? I call it good to great. If they're good, they'll ask you to read the menu. If they're great, they'll point out things that you would enjoy, okay? That's the difference. We actually drove up to I think it was Panda Express. I hadn't eaten in Panda Express since before the pandemic. I told my husband I'd never eaten there, but he said, yeah, we did. And I could not remember when we did, because I'm not someone we don't go out to eat often. It is a privilege for us. I always cook. Now, with the way fast food is on the rise, cost-wise, it's less expensive to cook, even though the groceries are more expensive. Can you believe that? But it's really true. So going out is a treat for us. It's special for us. My husband will say a lot of times it's because the food doesn't even go up to par for what we cook. I cook, or he cooks. I say he cooks. I'm putting him in there, but he would disagree. The point is that the food tastes better at a much less expensive situation. And what's that about nowadays? Maybe it's their secret way to get you to cook and eat better, because you know the ingredients you're putting in your food when you cook it yourself, don't you? Yep. So the point is, we went to this Panda Express because my very favorite Chinese place has closed, and it's so hard. I had a soup I absolutely loved, and we've been trying soups from various Chinese restaurants, and they just aren't hitting it. So I kind of gave up and said to myself, well, one day the soup will come to me and I'll feel better about it. But right now I'm going to just have to have that Chinese food fix. And Lindsay's mother said, or someone said, it might not have been Lindsay's mom, someone said Panda was good. So we went through the drive-through of Panda Express, and we met someone who is not good, but great. Great. And this is what makes you feel better in today's world, is when you meet people who work for a company and they're great. They're not just good, they're great. And this young lady, a smiley, upbeat, giggly attitude, automatically won us over. And then we hadn't been to Panda long enough that we didn't know how the ordering went. It had plates, it had bowls. We were like, eyes were crossing. And she said, well, a bowl is a little smaller and it all comes self-contained. And then and it allows you one side where the plates are much bigger portions, and it allows you two sides, And so she said, what do you want? And I said, I would like to try the walnut the walnut shrimp. And she said, oh, it's delicious. And may I recommend you could put it with the rice. All I'm saying is that she was outgoing, she was helpful, she was of service. That's good. Other than the person order please, does it look like it on the screen? Good. Pull up to the first window. Okay, how are you going to pay for that? Great. Bye. You know what I mean? I mean, you tend to feel like you got to check the bag to make sure the order's right because this person is one level above asleep. And you've met them. You've met them. I'm not going to say you are them. I'm just saying you've met them. So it becomes exhausting. It becomes exhausting. So this is why good to great. You want someone who is good. Mike writes, how are you today? Mike always asks me how I am. And I'm good today, Mike. I actually got my broadcast helping privately in my tribe. And that meant an awful lot to me. Diane says, I'm part of the tribe and I'm not an artist. You don't have to be an artist to join Terri's tribe. We have a great time. Terri is loving, fun, talented person. Come join us. You sign up on Patreon with your charge card. Now, Diane is an amazing person. She is an amazing person. And she did not post this because she's an amazing person. Well, she is because she posts and I like to know that she's there. But I point out she's an amazing person because she is all about being sweet and kind to people. And this is an art form with her. She's smiling. She's always got a good thing to say about people. You just saw her post. So she is an artist. She is about making people feel good. She rarely says negative things about anybody. And this is such a lovely person to have in the tribe. She's always congratulating people. She goes out of her way to post a congratulations if a person says, hey, I can't believe it. You know, I'm celebrating my, I'm celebrating my latest year at Disney as a cast member because we do have cast members on there. Or she'll congratulate them, or someone will say, I got that hangnail taken care of that was driving me crazy. And she'll be right there saying, oh, I know how that is. Congratulations. She always has that upbeat attitude. And that's what I mean about everyone being an artist. She is an artist in a different way. And she does appreciate, she'll often come and participate in things so that she can kind of she'll talk to people and it lights people up when she says, wow, that's good. Can you tell me how you did it? Whatever. So she's really good. She should be maybe an interviewer, maybe. We'll see. She does like to be more quiet, but boy, when she often types, she loves to do that rather than speak. But she doesn't have to worry about it because we love hearing from her, seeing her, being around her. Always a joy, always a pleasure. She goes out of her way and just one of the fabulous people you'll meet along the way. Hello, Pat Robinson. Good morning. Happy June gloom. Happy June gloom. You know what? This is one of the reasons I'm a little bit distracted, because sometimes I get distracted during June because I'm cleaning my garage and my garage doesn't have air conditioning in it. And I know when July hits, it's going to be horrible. So my goal is to get my garage to a point where I can lock it for 3 months and not even go in. And then I'll finish it up in the winter months, in the fall and winter months when it's cooler, because I am like, when it comes to really hot, I just don't like hot and humidity. No. No. This is why I love California. When California gets humid, I think everyone in California goes, because we don't like humidity. We don't know how y'all handle yourselves in Florida. You guys are amazing. Must be air conditioning and an indoor pool. Must be the answer. It just blows me away how resilient you all are in such horrible humidity. I remember I was going with a friend of mine to see Pandora. I had been wanting to see Pandora, and that Pandora ride is always full because it is so good that, years later, you still have trouble getting in. You got to either do some sort of fast pass situation, or you've got to just time it when you can get in there, and an hour is your longest wait, because most of the time it's a long time. But we finally made it. My friend finally got me in. We hit it just right. And we went to do this ride. Well, as we were walking into the park, because we went a little bit earlier, we were walking into Animal Kingdom. There was a little boy. He must have been about 6 or 7, and he's like, we're walking. You know how the switchback lines work before you get to the gate, and he was like, "Ah, this is awful," and he was dragging his feet. He was like, it's easier to show you on count three. Oh, oh, as he walked. Oh, Dad, it's terrible. Oh, it's the worst. Do we have to? It's so hot and sticky. He just absolutely hated it. And I thought, and I said to his dad, because his dad is kind of walking behind him, and I said, he doesn't live here, does he? And his father said, yeah, he does. And I said, how long have you lived here? He said, about 4 years. And the kid was still like, oh, this is the worst. So I said, what does he do? And he said, well, he doesn't really want to come to Disneyland today to do all of this because he would stay in the pool. And I guess that's what y'all do in Florida is you kind of eat, drink, sleep, watch your TV from a pool. I guess is how it works because of the humidity. Or you're someone who understands and loves humidity. I mean, if you're that kind of person, power to you. You know, I can't stand it. And this kid just made me laugh. Hilarious. I just thought he was hilarious, like he was like 7. And his hands were dragging on the ground. His tongue was hanging out. It was quite cute. I mean, he said what I felt, actually. And Mike has another bit of advice. Mike, you're in a giving mood today. I really like it. Coconut water is good for WDW. Fill your bottle with it and ice. It's like natural Gatorade. Since you sweat, is what he meant to say, so much in WDW. However, let me point out that he has you sweet so much here. That may only happen because of the magic of WDW. So he could exactly have meant that. Mike says, you look very nice. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for joining me. You're very sweet to say that. And I will allow it here. Remember the cassette tapes from the 80s? The holder for them can hold 8 AA batteries. Just snap out the 2-prong and put batteries in and put a rubber band around it. Wow. Now, first of all, guys, you got to know what cassette tapes are. If you know that, this message is quite good. I hate to say that, but I'm coming to the age where I have to explain what a newspaper is. Yeah. 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 That I have to explain certain actors or people in business that are very, very household name for me, like Edward G. Robinson and Claude Rains. And people don't even know who I'm talking about. And I never thought that would happen. I guess when you're younger, you don't think that's possible because everything's kind of common knowledge. But nope, we have to explain. I don't mind explaining, but it's wild that I have to, right? It's just one of those things that kind of catches you off guard if you find you're explaining. So cassette, Google it if you don't know what it is. They were lovely. They were fabulous. I have a set here that I just came across. And I'm trying to decide whether I work to play them because they have their own unique sound, of course, or just sell them to people who would like to have cassettes. I'm going to check with a person in my area who has a really great store that might do audio cassettes, but I think he's mostly video. So we'll see. But there's always a charity to give them to as well. But that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Mike asks, water and oils. Sounds like a new kind of, not really. You're wrong. And he's giving everybody an update on his battery test for the fans. And he says it's still running, still full battery. So check the early comments if you're wondering what that's about. The one of brushes. You're right, Pat. This brush is the one. Here we go. Surfer Girl writes hope@terrihadin.com. I don't know. Should I take that one? Basically, it's Terri@terrihadin.com if you want to write to me. Though being serious, but I think this is sweet. Surfer Girl, that's very sweet. Okay. Now Mike is saying something. When I barbecue good, I'm Star Trek. I'm barbecue cutest of Borg. Lakit's best of both worlds when Parsid became a Borg. Okay, I don't know that show because I'm a purist. I only watched the first one with Spock by Leonard Nimoy and Captain Kirk by William Shatner. Sorry, just my thing. You know, okay. Mike is telling a story. Once in a Chinese restaurant, we split a poo-poo platter, and I was joking with the waitress, asking if I can get the fire to go. She went to the kitchen and asked. She came back very funny. LOL. I fell for it. So she too sounds like someone who is entertaining as opposed to being, you know, a little mean or how dare you or are you being silly or whatever. She just rolled with it, and that's what I mean. Keeping joy in the mix when you're meeting people is a great person and an artistic one as well. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Debbie's here. Hello, Debbie. Let's see. Mike asks if it's hot enough, can you hang strips of beef in your garage and have beef jerky in a day or two? I don't know. I've never tried it. I've never thought to do that, honestly. But let's see what Debbie says. Florida heat and humidity is awful. I avoid the outside as much as possible. And this is kind of what I get with Debbie, is that many people, that's what they do. In fact, I had a very dear friend who lived in Florida. I have more than one dear friend, but I'm thinking of one. She later moved to Mississippi. Humidity wise, that's not much better, but they are closer to. No, they're not much better. But she likes it for her reasons. And but she had an indoor pool, and the indoor pool was in a cage. You know, so you have, when I first visited Florida, beautiful homes, but they all had these cages on the back. They looked to me like home plate at a game, but it was attached to the house. So that's what it was, not home plate, but it was those big cages that encompassed the whole backyard. And she had an indoor pool. Well, she will tell you up front, the reason for this is because Florida has something that California doesn't have, at least not necessarily so close, and that is alligators. So an alligator can easily be found in your pool if you don't have that cage to keep him out. And also, if you're not paying attention and you dive in and there's an alligator in there, you could be lunch. This is what happens. It was very interesting. I was sitting out by her pool when she was in Florida. Like I said, she's now in Mississippi. But I was sitting by her pool and we were having a nice little drink and looking out on a little pond that she had. It wasn't really a lake. It was more like a pond between the houses. She lived in Winter Garden, and they have the backs, all of the houses like facing each other, and they all have those cages. Well, in the middle is like a pond. And she said, you know, the last thing you do is to go swimming in that pond, or when you're walking with your animals, you give it a good 6 feet. Because if you look really carefully in the middle of that pond, you'll see a bump there. And we did, and it was a gator. And she says that is normal in Florida. That is not an anomaly. That is a real deal. And then another friend of mine, she works at Gatorland, and I love Gatorland. And when I went to Gatorland, I saw this alligator that was as big as a Buick, like as big as the car. And they had captured him. He had lived under somebody's house, and he was eating all the dogs and cats in the area. And they finally investigated, and they found this massive gator. I mean, he looked like a Buick. He was as big as a Buick. His body was, well, how long is a Buick? You know, the car. His body was that big, head and body, and then the tail went after that. And he was there at Gatorland because they, of course, didn't want to hurt him or anything, but they didn't want him eating everybody's dogs and cats and possibly children either. So they put him in Gatorland. If you ever get a chance to go visit him in Gatorland, go visit him in Gatorland, Florida's first theme park. Yeah, true. It's really fun. It's like going back into the 50s, you know, guys like roll on logs and, you know, do that foot log rolling, and they show you all the gators and they gator wrangle and all kinds of stuff like that. It's a step back in time. It's wild. If you're in Florida, you're going to look at it. You may think it's cheesy, but man, when you go back there, I got to actually hold a gator. Now, if you get to hold a gator, they tape the mouth, because a gator's down bite is much more powerful than the opening. So if you pinch their mouth, they can't open it as easily as they can close it. This is the way they like it. This is they haven't practiced enough to do this, I guess, or to do this is so easy, but needs to, you know, work harder. So gators are very interesting, but the idea of going swimming in a pond, knowing there's a gator there, and I'm sure you've seen many videos. There's a really good video of a guy walking his dog too close to one of those ponds in Florida. The gator comes and gets the dog, and the dog is on a leash. He goes back into the water. The guy has a stogie, has a big old cigar like this. And he says, you know, and he runs in after the gator and he starts beating on the gator, you know, poo, 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 poo. And the gator lets the dog go and he pulls the dog away. And he says, that gator wasn't going to get my dog. And he's just adorable. He's adorable. That video, he's so cute there because he saves his dog. His dog is probably like, whoa, what happened? Because, you know, gators often, or maybe you don't, gators don't chew like chomp, 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 chomp. They grab you and they take you down below the water and tenderize you. They roll. So if you are quick thinking like this man with the stogie in his mouth, who was absolutely hilarious, you can get your dog back. He proved it, you know, but you got to get in with a gator. You got to be scarier than the gator. I have to say, he was scarier than the gator. So I think it's good to stay inside is basically what I'm saying, Debbie. Long story for what you said. And again, see, you're really good. You are really good at spiking a good talk. And he says, all hail the mighty brush. It's using the force. It's forcing its way on the paper. Isn't that cute? Crazy Mike says he's making beef jerky now. Quarter strips of steak cut up in a slicer, soaking in sugar-free barbecue sauce in the hot air fryer at 165 for about 8 hours, making it for vacation on the 23rd. $100 worth of steak. It sounds like it's going to be delicious, doesn't it, guys? Mike, it sounds mouth-wateringly good. Yum, yum. What a good idea. What a good idea. Pat says, have you ever watched the 1939 film, The Women? Yes, of course. In fact, Pat, I have the 1939, The Women. Great movie. Oddly, no men in the movie, as it's a George Cukor film. It is great. It is great. It is a great. They remade it a while back. That one's okay, but as Pat says, the original, The Women, is lovely, and things are talked about and discussed and handled there that maybe we couldn't do in today's world. But it's a great. What I want to tell you is that back then, that was how people talked and people did stuff. And Norma is amazing in it. Everybody is good and wonderful, but L'Amour. She's one of my favorite. That woman is just, oh. She's very, very good. So there's lots of people in it that'll salt and pepper and make you real happy. So if you're someone who likes antics and to watch a film where it talks about men, but it isn't about men. It talks about a man and it isn't about the man. It's about all the women. It is quite lovely. And you're right. It is a great film. And like I said, Pat, I have it. One of my faves. Of course, I got a lot of faves from that era. You know, I have a Joan Crawford list, and I have a Betty Davis list. Of course, I also have a Nick Cage list, and a Arnold Schwarzenegger list, and a John something Stamos. No, Stathos. Anyway, Transporter, and also that guy. If my husband's here, he's going to correct me and tell me how to do it because I can never say his name, but I love him. He's really, really good. I have a kung fu list. I have a quiet movie list. I have an action movie, butt kicking movies, I call it. So of course you got Rambo in there. You've got First Blood in there. You've got lots of karate, a lot of Chinese films from early because when I was a kid, I watched them. Just tons of them. But this is one of my favorite early films. And then there's another one, Pat, I don't know if you know about, called You Never Can Tell with Dick Powell, and On Borrowed Time with John Barrymore, the oldest. Two really great films of those eras you might want to check. So those of you who are saying, what are these movies? On Borrowed Time is about a man capturing death in a tree, and as long as death is in that tree, no one can die. Okay, that is On Borrowed Time, black and white film. And then You Never Can Tell is a movie about a dog who is killed and comes back to Earth to get the murderer. It's really cool. Really cool. A lot of fun. You will especially love the horse, the woman who comes down. She is a horse and she comes down as a human. They come down as humans to find the people, but you're going to love it. It's called People. It's called You Never Can Tell. It's really good. You could probably find it on like a Tubi or something. And then People Will Talk with Cary Grant. It also has the woman who played the witch in Wizard of Oz, Forgive Me, My Love. And it also has Hume Crone. I love him very, very much. He plays the heavy in this movie. People Will Talk. It is spectacular. Be sure to watch the train scene between three men. It is by far one of the best. Beep, 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 beep. And you'll love it. So, and if you want me to talk about more of those kind of films, that's me, man. I know them. I love them. I am obsessed with them. Some movies that hold their own, like the original War of the Worlds, still is a great movie today. Doesn't feel too dated. Dated would be Crawling Eye. They could not get flames small enough for the models, but it still is a fun, cool movie. My very, very first introduction to science fiction when I was a little girl, and I still love it more than tongue can tell. And then there's others. So I could go on and on about movies that I love and why I love them. And they go all the way into current as well. Like last year, one of my favorite movies of all time was Sisu, Sisu. It is like watching a graphic novel come to life, and it's just hilarious and fun. But it's bloody, so if you don't like a lot of blood, maybe you ought to skip it. But anyway, it's really good. It's really, really good. See? One thing can catapult you to a new thing. So Pat, thank you for doing that. Crazy Mike says, we were in Gatorland and I got a rubber snake and I put it on a fence. This woman walked by, saw the snake and screamed. Still have pictures of me and my sister reacting to the toy snake. LOL. You all did that, didn't you? Crazy says the alligator, the gator thing I'm talking about is the death roll. They will tuck you under a rock for later for a snack. So in this case, rather than being like shocked if you see someone, if you want to help them, the main thing is to work to get those jaws open. Remember that opening is easier than the close. So if you're courageous enough, I would like to think I am, but I would rather not be put in that position, of course. You could save your dog, just like this guy did. Well, hello, Molly's mom. Hi, Terry. We took my grandsons there many years ago, watched a show where they hung chicken above them. Couldn't believe how high they could jump. Yes, indeed. And how fast they can move, because they don't look like they can do that, do they? Molly's mom. I remember seeing one in action, and yo, baby, that was really a surprise to me. So yeah, don't underestimate that. Underestimate them. Mike says James Bond, Live and Let Die comes to mind with the Gators when 007 ran across the Gators in a line and were tied so shut that no Roger Moore for lunch. Yeah, like I said, the little gator I held a little 3-foot gator. Okay, so a baby. But they just put some electrical tape around his muzzle just one time. It didn't even hurt him. He didn't even care. Because, you can scratch his belly and you can rub his back and you can tell his eyes would, they have that extra on their eyes. And so they rolled up in his head and he just seemed so content laying there. Some people went, "Ooh, I'm not touching no gator." But the thing is, the opening is the weaker thing. And if you know that about animals, and I love learning about animals more than anything else, it's a good thing to know. So you kind of keep your head if you're ever in a situation. I'm not saying put yourself in that situation, but here's a man smoking a stogie, getting a little too close to the pond in his backyard, and it takes his dog. And he could have went like, but he hung onto that leash and pulled it. And they're like this, and he walked right up and he started beating on them. I mean, it's a great video. You got to look it up, because the best part is him saying afterwards, so cute. Afterwards, he says, "We're going to get my gator." And his hands are on his hips and he's in his little shorts and his little dog is kind of like over there. But he was really good. Oh, my husband is watching. He says, Jason Statham. Why I cannot get Jason's first and last name out, I don't know. But I have a playlist of his stuff too, because I love his stuff. Transporter 1, 2, 3. And then Lindsay introduced me to Crank, I think it's called. And the sequel to it, I thought the sequel was but I love the original one. Made me laugh so hard. That movie. This guy is incredible. He's incredible. And he's in a new one called The Beekeeper that is so chilling, not because of him, but because of what's happening, that I have to watch it in the daytime. It's just a little bit too close to home in today's world. That's all I'm going to tell you about Beekeeper. Watch it in daylight, because you might have nightmares later, especially if you're someone like me, who technology is a little savviness, not a heck of a lot. So it's a good movie to wake you up and realize that you can no longer be too laissez-faire when it comes to being on the internet and doing things on the internet. But wow, what a movie. Mike says, "Hey, Terry, I like the part when the game show announcer says, and now here's your host, the one." The audience cheers. Sorry, Mike, I couldn't resist. And there she is, Debbie, saying hello to her friends there. She got me there. At the end, Norma Shore almost has that the one look, kind of canopy, but great. My sister and I love the old movies. She has quite the collection. The collection. I have obscure. So ask your sister about the ones I talked about. People will talk, and you got to watch that one to the end. It will blow you away. I saw this one, Margaret Hamilton. I'm sorry, Margaret. I should have remembered your name right up. You are amazing, an amazing addition to the acting world in the day. She's lovely in this movie too. And you've got Hume, you've got Cary Grant, and you've got several other wonderful people. But it's the best way that you've got leads, and then the salt and pepper works. It's really good. But the end is the kicker. So you got to get to the end because of a man named Shunderson. Don't miss it. It's good. And that's that is People Will Talk. You never can tell about the dog going up to dog heaven and pleading his case to come back to save someone because they've been accused of his murder. Is amazing. It's amazing. It is so clever, cute, and sweet. And as a little kid, it's great for your little kids. You will just go crazy. You will love the horse. I'm just saying, you will fall in love with her. You will go crazy over her if you haven't seen it. So ask your sister. And On Borrowed Time. Now, On Borrowed Time is more mainstream because of Barrymore, but it's still great. Death in a Tree, Keeping Death in a Tree, and the situation that can happen. Sometimes people think it sounds like a good idea until it's not. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful movie. It's great. And then, of course, we have the classics that many of you probably have seen if you love older movies, and that's like Key Largo, which is my favorite. Key Largo is my favorite Bogart film. Lauren Bacall, Bogart. It's my favorite one because it's got Edward G in it and it's got Barrymore in it. It's just my favorite. Whereas my husband likes Casablanca. And he likes Casablanca and Maltese Falcon. So those are both great. I'm not saying they're not. It's just for me, it's Key Largo. Yeah. And so that's what I mean. I have a more unusual, more eclectic. I have a different line. A lot of times what people don't like, I like. And a lot of times what people like, I don't like. That's very possible. Not always. Not always. We like the same things here as we sit now. But back then, back some of them, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, not black and white. Probably 9 out of 10 are raising their hands right now, loving it. I can't stand it. I absolutely do not like this movie. I tried to watch it 3, 4, I'd say easily half a dozen times. And I've just have to say, Uncle, it's not my cup of tea. And I have to let it go. And that is the same with Everything Everywhere All at Once. Do not like the movie, but love the people in it. Every single person in it I absolutely love. Has some of my most cherished actors and actresses that I love, including Jamie Lee Curtis, who was my scream king doing things like Halloween and Prom Night. She's going to go, Prom Night? But I loved her in Prom Night. But there's lots of those. I mean, I just love them. And then you've got so many wonderful people like Michelle Yeoh. She is another one that I saw years ago when she first started working with Jackie Chan. And I only could get the movies from China. I had to, finagle to get the movies from China when I wanted to watch these kung fu movies from China. And she was there young and a favorite of his. And I just absolutely adore her. But I don't like this movie. This movie does nothing for me. So for everyone else that it did something for, power to you. And I love every single person in it. And I love their attitude about it, the way they celebrated each other during the Academy Awards. I was happy that it won the award, even though the movie was not to me, because the people were so genuine, sweet, and kind. Listening to them talk about how much fun they had on the movie, doesn't matter if I didn't like it. They liked it. They had fun. Score. Just not my cup of tea. So it's funny. There are things that I like, and there are things I'm just like, yeah, no. I'm not a Marvel person, and yet we were talking about it the other night, how much the Doctor Strange, they introduced into Doctor Strange with Cumberbatch. I'm kind of masa menace on him, but I love the cape. I thought the cape was absolutely amazing. And then I love some of the characters around him, but the story is kind of meh to me. But that happens with me on a lot of Marvel stories. It's just not my thing. So what do I jump at every time I turn around? I mean, I will jump at it. If the preview has any hint of this, I will go absolutely gaga over it, and that is Phoenix Rising Above the Ashes. So someone has an issue, Hacksaw Ridge, where they're struggling, and then they rise above it because they have their tenacity or their faith or whatever. I'll get it every time. Kung Fu Panda, a big one with me. Kung Fu Panda. I'm often saying I thought it in my mind like the Kung Fu Panda. I love Kung Fu Panda, and I adore How to Train Your Dragon, and then 99.9% of Miyazaki films I'm a big fan of. And a lot of those are animation, but they're really great stories. They're simple stories. They don't muck it up with a bunch of garbage in the middle. They simply tell a straight story. I don't have to fit, there's like dazzling special effects and then I see no story, which really frustrates me. And I like it when you don't say a lot and you show me mostly. That's what movies are for, by the way. And it's great. This is why I like Sisu, because in Sisu there's very little dialogue. There's very little dialogue, and yet the whole story is clear as crystal. And I just adore this film. My husband just laughs at me because he'll come in and he'll see me watching it, and I'll just laugh. It's so funny. It's so funny. There is just like, but if you're someone who's anti-violence of any kind, then don't watch this movie because it's one of those. It's a graphic novel, so blood, blah, 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 like you see in Zootopia when she goes and blood spurts, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like that, and I look at it like that actually, because it's very comical how the blood does, but there's blood. So if you're not that person who is like, you don't necessarily enjoy it, but it's part of the whole storytelling process, and you get into it because of that, then it's cool. And so Sisu is one of those. My husband also turned me on to Primal, which is a animated series, two seasons of it that was just, I don't think it needs to go another season actually, because it was so well told that to go beyond that, I didn't feel as necessary. And I hope the animators feel the same, because, if you go further than what story can really handle, then it kind of dies on the vine. It makes you kind of sad that it's, like Godfather 3, really? No. Should have waited 1 and 2 stuck, so just an opinion, but that's it. So I admire your sister, Pat. I think, we could talk for days about old movies because I have huge black and white collection, and we are racing to see if we can continue with our black and white collection, because they're starting not to be offered as much as they can be offered. Ones that were special to us are becoming, kind of crazy expensive because they're not being offered anymore. And I like to have my own library. And the reason I like to have my own library is because then I can choose, if someone pulls it off streaming and I can't see it anymore. Really? It's like Commando. I love Commando. Arnold Schwarzenegger. People are going to say, what? My husband says, what? That is the cheesiest movie. Doesn't matter. I love it. I get my bowl of popcorn and seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger from the back as he rows. Oh, amazing. It is a bit of a cheesy movie, but it doesn't matter. He opens carrying a tree. So, hey. But I love it. I can't find it. It is a movie that is difficult to come across. I actually found one. But that's what I'm talking about. If you try to stream it, it wasn't streaming. It might be streaming now, because one thing I do know about streaming channels is that they stream month to month to month to month. They don't necessarily have exclusive rights to these films open-ended. You have to look to see who has what when. But Prime has it, and you can't have it, and I want to have it. And a few others as well. But we just keep looking. We do the digging. And that's because we want to have a library that we can reach out to and watch when we want to watch it. I don't want people to tell me when I can watch something. So there I go on that. Okay. Let's see. In Doctor Who 1980s episode, Remembrance of the Daleks, a Dalek was rigged to explode in a train tunnel. They used too much explosives and blew 100 years and soot off the walls. Whoops, big yikes. Now that's what I love to hear about behind the scenes. I love behind the scenes. Have you guys ever seen a movie? This is completely off topic, but when you talked about this Doctor Who and crazy stuff that happens, I automatically thought about the only Doctor Who that I watched Disney diligently was Tom Baker. Do you remember Tom Baker's super beautiful curly hair and award-winning smile? I always thought he could make a great Willy Wonka because he has these sparkly eyes and this smile that's really crazy. He plays an evil sorcerer in one of the Sinbad movies. Lindsay will know which one it is, but he plays the evil sorcerer in that. And then I fell in love with Tom Baker in a movie called Vault of Horror, which now I think they changed it to Tales of the Crypt, because later on they found out if they connected it to the pulp magazine of that era where the stories came from, that it would have a better selling ability. And he plays an artist who wants revenge. So of course I really dig it. But you got to see it. He's wonderful in it, and he's I really took to him. Well, then my husband, who loves Doctor Who, said, he's the name the number of Doctor. And he was very popular. So many people loved him over many of the other doctors. They just were crazy gaga over him. And it was because he has this award-winning, he has a bit of a crooked smile, these sparkly eyes, this curly hair. He just sparkles. He's just really Tom Baker. I wonder if he's still around. Should write to him if he's still around. If he's not, then if you're in heaven, Tom, just know I'm a big fan. So my point is, I haven't really watched a lot of Doctor Who's afterwards. My husband has had me touch base on a couple of them. There's one that I think looks a little bit like a Xanthi Misfit from Outer Limits. You probably don't even, you younger people are going, Outer Limits, what the hell? But there's one called the Xanthi Misfit, and this actor looks like it because he makes a face, and he looks like he has the same face as the little ants from that one. But other than that, I haven't. So I don't know what you're talking about here, but it's exciting. But I love to hear behind the scenes is what I'm trying to say, Mike, and not getting it out right. Right? I love behind the scenes. I love it a lot. Hope you're having a great day, she says to Debbie. And Mike says hello to my husband. That's sweet of you, Mike. And Debbie says the same thing. Oh, I wonder if Lindsay's seeing this. You'll get a kick out of it. Let's see what this is. Sometimes look out, Skynet online taking over the Rumba vacuums, taking out ankles, ramming speed. Is that what you think is going to happen? I love the original black and white of The Day the Earth Stood Still. Yeah, baby. Now you're talking, Michelle. Let's talk about how Michael Rennie is one hot alien. Yes, that guy, tiny little waist. He's just so huggable. Yes, Invaders from Mars freaked me out when I was little. Both excellent films, Michelle. Both excellent. The Day the Earth Stood Still. And now I'm spacing on his name again. It's probably, I'm gonna blame it on Monday. But the boy from Father, what? Life with Father, something with Father. Anyway, the boy who played the young boy in Day the Earth Stood Still talked about, he was 9, and he talked about how the spaceship, talking about behind the scenes, how the spaceship was only half or 3/4 built. So he used it as a jungle gym when he was having lunch. He'd have lunch and he'd climb all through it from the back, saying it was really fun, really, really cool. That to me sounded joyful. Now, the man who plays Gort, very, very tall person, as you see in the film. And you may or may not know this, but they found him at the Grauman's. That's right, Grauman's Chinese Theater, not the newly named Chinese Theater, but the Grauman's, when it was actually Grauman's Chinese Theater. And he was a doorman. And when they walked in to see whatever film they were walking in to see, they saw him and they asked him if he wanted to be the robot. Now, he really had trouble with his strength. So when Gort picks up our heroine, our leading lady, if you will, it's not her. So if you watch it, it's a mannequin of her, and you'll love it. When you see it, you'll love it. It's a very cool thing to see. Once you see it, maybe you won't be mad at me because now you only see the mannequin, but it really is Patricia O'Neill. He picks, it's not Patricia because she was too heavy for him to lift from that deadlift when she says, Klaatu, Barada, Nikto. She, they had to use a lighter thing to carry when he carries her inside the ship and then goes and gets our guy. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm sorry. I haven't totally spoiled it, but it's a great film too. A lot of fun. The other one, Invaders from Mars, is a terrifying film. Also a really great film. Scary and fun. And it's kind of like, Takeover. What other one was it that they had to make sure that you were you and not someone else? There was one that was really strong in my head, and I'm trying to remember. It's in here. It's dancing around. It's tickling my brain. That was really prove it's you, and you're not. And it's more recent than this one, but this is that kind of film where you've got to make sure that the person is, prove it that you're you and not one of the body snatcher people. Body snatchers the same way. Kevin McCarthy, really great, and of course the pods happen. A nice fun fact about Invasion of the Body Snatcher, Kevin McCarthy version, which is the only one that we talk about. They made a later one with Donald Sutherland, and it's fun, but I think the actress Brooke Adams, is it Amy? No, Brooke Adams, not Amy. She can do this thing with her eyes where she makes them jiggle. And so they did that in the movie. That was the best thing in that movie. Had nothing to do with body snatching, but it was cool. And it was neat to see her do it. But Kevin McCarthy's is the really good one. And on Ghostbusters, when we built the street that the Marshmallow Man walks down, the model builders put a truck full of pods, and it said, "You're next" on the side of the truck. So it was super cool. You know how people, practical art effects people, when they're actually building the effects, not in the computer, but actually physically building the little trucks and the little trees and everything. They often will put things in that are pertinent to them, something that they like, so that if you slow down your video, you can find them. Greg Gian was known for this. He's passed away now, but what an amazing model builder. He built, among the things that he built, and he built a lot of wonderful things. He built the mothership from Close Encounters. And if you slow it down, he put R2 in there. He put a mailbox in there. He put various things in the mothership, little tiny things, along with all of the things that made the mothership. So this behind the scenes stuff is what really makes it fun in practical effects. It's pretty cool. So absolutely, Michelle, love both of these so much. And Invaders from Mars still is a little jarring today, as is Body Snatchers. When I was doing the Flintstones, I met with my dear friend Dave, and David had two wonderful young kids. They're now grown now. And they were telling me how much they like movies like Predator. Predator was kind of the flavor of the month there, pardon the pun. But I told them that the problem with Predator is that I didn't feel suspense. There's a little suspense at the end of the movie. If you haven't seen The Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Predator, played by Kevin Peter Hall, another great behind the scenes story and a sad one as well. There's not a lot of, oh my God, don't go up there. So The Birds, which I love, I've seen it 100 times. I constantly say, when Tippy wakes up in the middle of the night and everyone's asleep, she goes up to her room. And every time she wakes up, I know she's going, because I've seen this movie. And I go, no, Tippy, don't go. No, Tippy. Like, actually say it out loud every single time. No, Tippy, thinking that maybe she's not going to go up there. And of course she is. It's a movie. But that suspense that makes your heart beat like a rabbit, because you know what's up there is bad and you're scared for her. Suspense, not just blood, blah, 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 knife. Just, it's not the same. It's not the same, but the suspense is so good in Body Snatchers. And I told these boys this. And it was in the early days of the DVD player. So I had a little clamshell about this big with a screen about this big on it. And I told the boys I'd put Body Snatchers on because it's one of my favorite. And I said, here's the off button. If it gets too scary for you, turn it off. and I went to shoot a scene for Flintstones. And the boys watched it. When I came back, both boys had turned it, slammed it, and said they barely got through the first part. It was so friggin' scary. This is suspense. And the more you do it, you involve the person in the suspense. That's why certain movies get such kudos, because they create this sense of what's around that corner, or don't go there, or please don't do that, or he's right there. Halloween does it very well. It's a little bit too cat in the trash can sometimes, but the music starts first. Bump, bum, bum, bump, ding, 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 bum, bum, ding, 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 bump, ding, ding, ding. That helps you to get that scary feeling, create suspense as he's coming. Bump, ding, 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 bump, ding, 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 bump, ding, 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 and let me in, bump, bump. Is he going to get her, or is she going to get free? Suspense. That's a true frightening movie. Cat in the Trash Can, I don't like booze like that. I feel they're very cheesy and cheap. So I'm not real good with the coming out of the trash can and you go, don't like that stuff. Some people do. I don't. But I love the suspenseful climb to the scariness. Like, what's going to happen, and how's it going to happen, and are you going to make it? And oh my God, it's really scary. The Birds, beautiful. Hitchcock did that very, very well on several of his films, and many people have. Halloween is wonderful. The Fog, not black and white, but definitely one of my favorite films as far as a ghost story of all time. I love it, love it, love it. And it is super, super scary. The other way is to give you tells at the beginning. So you know that at some point this has to happen because you've gotten a tell in the beginning of the film. And so, yeah. Can you tell I'm a film nut? This is my other love film. And good story though. It's got to have a story. I'm not all about effects. I built them, but I'm not a fan of so much effects that you forget the story. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Yep. Crazy Mike, Linda's, I think it's Lindy's Jackson is Terry, the wife of the party. Yeah, I guess so. Hello to Jonathan Chung. And then who else do we have? Oh, not on Facebook today. I was waiting for the notification, but I never got it. Sorry, Retro Classic Dude. I did post it early yesterday. So shame on them. Okay, I'm trying to do it at least the day before so you guys can find it. Because sometimes I do it hours before. Like I wake up at 5 a.m. and go, I don't know what to talk about. Now I just say, join me as much as I can. Like today, the one. You were probably all like, what? What does that even mean? But that's what it means. And Joe says, I never got my notification either. I apologize, Joe. For some reason, I don't know why, but I'm seeing more Facebook here. So some people got it. So I apologize for that. Maybe I'll announce it even earlier. You probably were looking for it today because I tend to wait too long, but I'm working to take a tiny portion of my family day out to let you guys know in advance, because it's not fair. So forgive me for not, letting you know that was the case. So here we go. Bob Berdine says Casablanca and the Treasure of Sierra Madre. Treasure of Sierra Madre is very good. Yes, that is a really good one, Bob. I like that one. That one is where he goes a little wonky, isn't it? Love those kind of movies. Have you ever seen the other one called The Bedford Incident? It's black and white. It's got Sidney Poitier in it. And no. Is it Richard Widmark? I think. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. It takes place on it's you won't believe it. Just watch it. And guys, do not watch it. It's certain times you'll think it might be a little bit more. You hold tight because the ending is a kicker. The first time I saw it, I was like this. Bedford Incident. Got to check it out, guys. Got to check it out. Sierra Madre is really fun. Casablanca, of course, is a classic that we all know and love, don't we? I mean, you have Claude Rains in it. Anything with Claude Rains, Peter Lorre. That's all I'm saying. And then someone's saying crazy. Mike says in the reunion movie, The Dukes of Hazzard, Cynthia Rothrock was in it too. So, tell me who that is, because I'm really not doing it justice, Mike. I'm sorry. Joe says, got the YouTube notification, but not the Facebook. But you can see there's a lot of Facebook comments here. So everyone else. So we'll work it around. No mucking around. Yes. And Mike asks how my mom is doing today. She's doing very, very well. The latest is that we had the first taste of fresh mulberries. Y'all know, have you ever had mulberries before? They are so trippy. They are so trippy. They're a trippy fruit. They're delicious. They're like raspberries on steroids, but they're long. When people first look at them, they go, ugh, what's that? Because it looks kind of like a creature, but they're delicious. Trust me. So one of the artists, when I was doing my painting class, she has a tree and she says, help me, please. And she gave me a bag of them, and they are absolutely, yum, 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 yum. They are so good. So if you haven't had a chance, find someone with a mulberry tree. Right now, the mulberries are in bloom and in fruit season, and they make a mess if people don't eat them. So find someone with a mulberry tree and say, please, I'll help you, and you'll be very happy. Mike says, Terry, have you ever seen Flight of the Phoenix and the remake of Flight of the Phoenix with George Clooney? I don't remember if I've seen the new one, but the old one, I love the old one. In the old one, that's the one with the German guy with the round glasses, right? I love that guy. See, I tend to be a salt and pepper person. All right. I love the leads. Don't get me wrong. But the ones that really get me are the people who frame the lead, who make the movie, flesh the movie out like you do a good meal by the ingredients that you add. And that guy, he's the kind of the smart. Yeah, I think that's right. Isn't that Flight of the Phoenix? That German guy with the round glasses doesn't like anybody. Both are good, he says. I haven't seen the later one. I'm going to have to check it out. Let's see. Jonathan says, trilogy are never perfect, LOL. They're always one that didn't work in a group of three. Jonathan, you're very right, because I mentioned I love Kung Fu Panda, right? I loved one. Flipped out over Kung Fu Panda 2. That peacock was off the chain. And the idea in that one that I absolutely love so much is that the peacock used every part of who he was as fighting. That tail is magnificent. His claws are incredible. And he is just a fabulous villain. Just fell in love with him. And then I saw the previews for 3 and I got so excited because Kung Fu Panda was going to be reunited with his family. And it was so boring. And I don't know why, other than it was just boring. But I haven't seen 4 yet, but I hear it's spectacular. And the idea that Kung Fu Panda 4 is still in theaters means it must be good, because it's been about 4 months or something, 3 months, been on in there a long time. Over Dune, which of course Dune is no longer in theaters. It's gone. Dune 2, bye. But this Kung Fu Panda going strong. I keep wanting to stream it, and I can't because it's like $20. And I wonder why. And then the other day I looked at the AMC and I can see it at the theater. So I can go on $6 Tuesday and see it on the big screen. How fun is that? And apparently it's pretty brilliant. So I guess it sort of skips a generation, Jonathan, doesn't it? It skipped, and now 4 is really incredible. I'm pretty tickled by that. I'm really, really excited that it's good. And I love you, Jonathan. Jonathan says Commando is great. I love Commando. Okay. I think it's kind of like to Arnold Schwarzenegger what I think it is. Let me say this in a full sentence. I think it's as good as a movie to Arnold Schwarzenegger as, now I lost the other movie. It was right there on the tip of my tongue, but I'll remember it in a minute. But it's such a, I'll go on another subject, then I'll remember what my thought was. But he's carrying a tree. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so it's as good a movie to Arnold Schwarzenegger as Unforgiven is to Clint Eastwood. Because Clint Eastwood is kind of poking fun at himself, isn't he? In that movie, and it's really good. The fact that he's fallen off his horse and he's having trouble with his horse, and he hurts a little because he hasn't ridden in the saddle as long as he has. It's really a great movie. And the same as Commando, because Arnold comes in carrying a tree, you know? And people were always teasing about Arnold, you know, one-handed using the gun and things, and it was not realistic. But Arnold was a very strong man and is very strong. Well, I don't know if he's as strong as he was then, but the point is him carrying a tree was totally believable. And then the kindness and preciousness with his daughter, it's great stuff. And Jonathan, I love you for that. Thank you. Great movie, Commando. The one lines blow off some steam. Yes, that gets a little cheesy. I think this is why my husband goes, really? What'd you do with Sully? I let him go. I mean, come on. We love it. We love it. Molly's mom says she's with him watching Arnold. It was fun. Those movies are fun. And I'm really grateful that they let him finally do his own voice. Because, you know, his very first movie, they dubbed him over, and it's weird. The very, very first movie Arnold appeared in, he's overdubbed, and it's really bizarre. We're all happy, Arnold, that your own voice is with us, because we love it. Get to the chopper. We love that. Okay, we love that. Don't even think if we're imitating you that we're making fun of you. We're not. We love get to the chopper. We love it. So we thrive on that, buddy. We do. We love your accent. We love, yeah, you are fun in films. You're fun in films. Really fun in films. Another one he does called Raw Deal. I like that one too. With Darren McGavin, the Night Stalker. It's good. It's good. One of the things I love about it is there's a woman who kind of digs him, and she's in a restaurant and she takes her dress off. She has a coat and she just rips the whole dress off and throws it at him. I mean, that's a classy chick. That's a woman who knows what she wants to say. I cracked up. I mean, I don't know if I'd have that kind of strength. Nor that was a really well-made dress that she's able to just kind of grab it and do it, and it undoes. Whew, that's something else. Yeah, I really like it. I saw Commando streaming on Tubi recently. Could still be on Tubi. Absolutely. It's just I'm looking to own these films so I can watch them when I want to, not when someone else wants to. I'm really adamant about that. So I tend to be that way. And they say, yeah, it's currently streaming on Tubi. So if you've not seen this movie, treat yourself. I'm going to treat me. I actually ordered it, so I can't wait till it comes in because I found it from somebody. Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor, right? Did the role for 7 years. People were crazy about him. I went to an event where he was appearing as a doctor, and you could not get near him. It was like going to see, well, I can't say it. I can't say that because I've never gone to see her, but it was packed. It was, you could not get near Tom Baker. Just forget about it. So on fire. Really, 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 really on fire. So, you know, I mean, I loved that season. I loved Doctor Who when he was the Doctor. I love the costumes of that era. I love the dialogue, the stories, everything. That stuff was just great. And I watched it. I devoured it. So I absolutely loved it. K9, all the dialects, everything. Loved everything about that. So thank you. Thank you, Mike, for looking that up. I really appreciate it. The original Doctor Who had talking lobsters. I don't think I missed that. I mean, I think I missed that. I was at a Hollywood show this weekend because I just got picked up I have a agent now for my appearances. So he invited me to a show where some of his other clients are. I won't go into it, but Land of the Lost. There were some people from Land of the Lost. I don't believe they were represented by my appearance agent, but they are great people. Probably represented by other people. But anyway, sweet as they, if you were a Land of the Lost fan, last weekend was the time to go. But I met those critters. My husband knew the name of those creatures from Land of the Lost. Now, let me tell you, I didn't watch Land of the Lost, but those bulby-eyed creatures, I met a guy who played one of those characters. And he just told great stories about how they were made on a neoprene diving suit, which to me sounds absolutely horrible under hot lights. They peeled it off their body and wore it around their waist, much like a surfer. You've seen a surfer do that, right? But this was the monster, right? They popped the head off and then they put the thing around. But then they didn't have lunch on the set, which really makes me laugh. And they went next door to like a mall and ate their lunch with this monster down below. Now, they said their faces or their eyes were painted green. I think it was like a thing like this and they were painted green. But so they could wipe off the paint, but it kept the face yellow. The yellow stained their skin. They could not scrub that off, so they looked jaundiced. So here they are, yellow faces, thing down around their waist, going to get some lunch at the nearby mall. And they said they got wild looks, but other people were just kind of like, oh, it's Hollywood, But it was super cool. Super cool. Lindsay says, Golden Voyage of Sinbad has Tom Baker in it. So if you want to go back in time and see the amazing Tom Baker in a different role, this is a good one. And he was doing it around the same time as he was playing the Doctor, I understand, or shortly thereafter or something like that. But you can see he's the same age. So it's very, very cool. So this one says, you can stream on Tubi The Key to Time, great Fourth Doctor story. Oh, that could be fun, huh? Kind of go back and see my old friend. That would be nice. Mike says, Lindsay, I have built the 3 Doctor cars, the yellow Roadster in 1/10 scale, body for my RC truck, and drove it around. A Doctor who driving in the lobby full speed. Yes, he's the builder. Mike is our builder. And often he'll share that with. And Father Knows Best, Billy Gray. So remember I said the boy who played the young boy in Day the Earth Stood Still, Billy Gray, and he used the spaceship as a jungle gym. What a great thing. That's the fun thing about being a performer of any kind, is you get paid to go play in places or meet people that you never thought you would meet, or eat great food. I mean, there's all kinds of side benefits to being these people. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Take it for someone who has. Joe says the same thing. Billy Gray from Father Knows Best was in The Day the Earth Stood Still, and he gives you the whole thing and the date too. Thank you, Joe. Very kind of you. Crazy's asking a question. Which do you like better, The Thing or Them? Now, I have to ask you, Mike, and this is going to sound like Holy Grail and the African swallow bit. Which thing? The Thing from Another World, black and white, or The Thing, John Carpenter? If it's The Thing from Another World, James Arness as the creature, then I'm still going to tell you Them is my favorite. Them is my favorite. Giant animals of any kind always make me happy. Tarantula, Them, all of them. But The Thing from Another World is my favorite thing. I did not like John Carpenter's Thing, except for the blood sequence where the blood moves on its own on the floor is really cool. I thought that was a cool effect. But overall, I really did not like the story, how they told the story. It just didn't do anything for me. Except for I also liked You Gotta Be Effing Kidding. I like that role too. And If You Guys Are All Better. But you're right. The Thing was the one that they were trying to tell who's who. And the guy says, now that you're convinced, would you please untie it? I don't want to spend the rest of my life tied to this effing chair. So there's some great lines in the movie for real. I just thought the story was a little too muddled with effects. Whereas I love the James Arness version, the early one. I think it's really sweet. It's got a different kind of vibe to it that I like. And them is just incredible. Now, I got some great behind the scenes stories of them. The main one is you've got Edmund Gwenn, who is about 5 foot tall. James Arness, who's about 7. I'm exaggerating a little bit. And then you got James Whitmore, and they were all different heights. So in the sequence when they are talking about going into the hole for the giant ants, James Whitmore is standing on the actual ground. Edmund Gwenn is on a board, and James Arness is in a pit, so that they're all level. So when they're all level at one point, you'll know that they had to do some fancy footwork in order to get them all on the same camera, because trying to get them all together, he was so much taller than they were, you had this happening. So it's really cool. I have some great stories about that, because I got to meet James. Screen Actors Guild will have these things where you can go and hear an actor speak, and he was there, and they, that you have an interviewer, but it's about, maybe 50 people in the audience, maybe 100 or 2. And, okay, let's see. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, I see here that Joe wrote and said there's no live today, but there is. Sorry about that, Joe. I would have read that. I usually do. But James was being interviewed about movies, and he got upset. He was older at this point, and he got upset because he thought the questions were lame. We wrote these questions out, and then the interviewer has them, and he goes through them, like this, trying to find. And he was frantically going through them because James said, "Don't you have any good questions to ask me?" And they came on my question, which was, tell me about what it was like to work on my favorite film, Them. This is me, guys. Whitmore did a lot of stuff. I didn't know how Them would rest on his shoulders, but he loved doing Them. He said it was a really amazing movie. And he started to say, who asked that question? That's the first thing he did. I stood up and he went, "Thank you." And then he started to tell us all kinds of cool stories about Them. Now, maybe there were actors in the audience who had never seen that movie, but you can bet they went to see it afterwards. It's a really wonderful movie. Ants breaking down and all kinds of cool stuff. And maybe I'll tell you all of these stories at a later date. Just remind me. Okay. Here's Mike saying, "I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm out of bubble gum." Indeed. So Terry likes to scare children. No, I don't like the booze. Okay. I like suspense. Okay. And even that, is, I know you're kidding, but these 2 kids of Dave's, they were teenagers, and they were saying how, they don't get scared in films. I said, I got one for you. And I showed them body snatchers, and it really scared them. And then they wanted to know why. Because it doesn't have a lot of crazy wild blood. There's not blood everywhere. In fact, there's no blood in it at all. It's very creepy and scary. And it's all done with suspense. It's all done with suspense. But he's not my father. He's my uncle, but he's not. He's not. And it's really, it's very cool. It's a cool movie. But you got to see the Kevin McCarthy version. That's the one I'm talking about. Super good, super great, really amazing. But it's scary. And these 2 boys absolutely loved it, but couldn't watch it. They went through the first third of it, slammed the clamshell down, which was my DVD player, and said, "That's it. No. Wow. We were scared." I said, "I know. You want to know why?" They said, "Why?" I said, "It's not just blood being thrown at the camera. That's gore. Faces ripping off, all this kind of gory stuff that happens, heads being chopped off. That stuff is gore. But suspense is terribly scary. Terribly, terribly, terribly frightening. And you just, Prom Night. I mentioned Jamie Lee Curtis in Prom Night, which many people will think is a cheesy film, including my husband, but I love it. Love this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis, as you all know, was a scream queen back in the day. Her claim to fame was she was the woman always in jeopardy in a horror film, and she was brilliant. We loved her innocence. We loved her charm. We loved her beauty. We loved her sweetness, and she was often like us. She was smart, intelligent, and couldn't get a boyfriend. And many people were just like that. Many women of the day would say, I don't like being smart. I can't get a date. And that's really sad. But Jamie was awesome in all of these scary films she did. She was awesome. And we loved her so much. There wasn't a scream queen that could beat out Jamie Lee Curtis. Back in the day, she was amazing. She was heard saying that she never had to take her top off during these scream queen moments, but she got a legitimate film, and the first thing she did was have to take her top off. She said, interesting. Made us all laugh. Just a wonderful woman. She's a wonderful person. She's an amazing lady. And we loved her in these films. Well, in Prom Night, the kids start out by scaring her in an abandoned building by going, killers are coming. Not her, but scaring this little girl. Killers are coming. Killers are coming. Killers are coming. It was kind of like a hide and seek game where then the killer who was coming would come around the corner, and if he was the killer, he'd go, and the killer's gotcha. Okay, in the movie. So I was shooting a night shoot in St. Louis puppets, and I would say that in the dark. It was pretty creepy. We were on the banks of the Mississippi River, and there wasn't a lot of sound. A few kind of sounds happening, and the of a big sort of giant bug that Mississippi seems to grow on a normal basis, and silence, just the little of the river. And I would be in the dark going, killers are coming. Killers are coming. Finally, my mentor told me to shut up. I was scaring the crap out of him. Will you shut up? I don't want to hear that anymore. It's so creepy. And there were no kids. No kids were harmed in the time when I was shooting this. Only the puppets were fine. And my mentor was like, that is really scaring me. Just stop it. So I did. But it was fun because it creates that suspense that because it was the perfect atmosphere for it. So Jamie Lee, I still love you as yourself and as a scream queen, of course. I just think you're amazing. And I'm really happy you got an Academy Award. It's long overdue. You are just so deserving of it. And there's hope for me yet. Disney Legends Award. It's another story. Jonathan says, with the birds, it's because it's a good film. You say it every time. Alfred was awesome when it came to filming suspense. Suspense is great. Suspense is great, and the behind the scenes are great, Jonathan. If you ever get to read books or hear what some of these people talk about, this is a question I love to say. Tell me about when you shot the movie. What was the one scene that stands out in your mind? What was the one thing? So in Psycho, which I adore, Hitchcock's Psycho, she is killed in the shower. She falls down, and he goes with the turning of the drain and then zooms in on her eyeball, which stays open. Well, newsflash, guys, those of you who are younger, that's the actress keeping her eye wide open and not flinching. And it takes a long time. And she speaks about that happened about, I can't remember, over a dozen times she had to shoot this because she twitched with the eyelash or she thought of something else. She really had to stay ultra focused with her eye in that position while the camera was, right there. With the scene where she got it, they had taken moleskin, which is a wonderful material that runners use to keep from getting blisters, and they had taped it over her nipple area because back then you weren't supposed to see any of that. So that would get you in trouble with the commissions. And so they taped it over there. They glued it over there so that she would not have an indiscretion. So she falls, arm up, and she's got her eyes. She's got her eyes like this. And she feels the moleskin. And see, I'm even doing it, and the air is making it tighter, so I'm blinking. She couldn't blink. She couldn't shift. I mean, think about it. Watch that and know that that's all her. Okay? It's all her. And she's there laying there when the moleskin starts to dislodge. And now she's saying, son of a gun, son of a gun. She said something else, but I won't say it here. And she's saying, oh, I'm not moving. I'm not in her head. Now, all of this is racing through her head, but she's got to keep her eyes wide. She's got to keep, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. And she said it crossed through her mind. Should she stop because she's about to give a show? Or should she just bull through it and get it done? And she said in her mind, she said, like hell, I'm going to do this again. And she got it done. And luckily, Alfred was able to say cut before it actually dislodged. But imagine this, guys. These are the things that make black and white films really fun, besides the beauty of black and white. We didn't have the things we have today where you just, and I don't mean to say just, where you create it in a computer and a person can fly and a person can morph and a person can disappear and they can change who they are. All of this because it's done through computer graphics. Okay? The practical stuff is harder and more difficult, more challenging in the transition. And that doesn't mean that computer graphics should be banished. Heavens, no. But I think what is the best marriage I see is the one between practical effects for the actors on stage. And then when you need them to morph or fly or do something that practicality just doesn't work, watch The Black Hole if you disagree. Floating and things really didn't work in that movie. But if they had had CG, they would have worked a lot better, because then you could have CG'd it. And that's what I liked about Iron Man, the first Iron Man, which I liked, because they had tangible things the actors could hold, practical. She's holding an Iron Man mask. Downey Jr. is putting on Iron Man parts, not pretending. Okay? And then when he has to fly, that becomes the CG part. And that's what I like the best. And if you ever get to China and get to see Pirates of the Caribbean at Shanghai Disneyland, you're going to be blown away, because it's the perfect marriage between practical effects and computer generated graphics. You will fall in love with this ride. I didn't think I would, but I truly did, because there are things you can do that CG allows that practical just doesn't do. But practical being peppered in there makes your head believe. You see? Otherwise, you go like in movie mode and you're kind of like watching a movie. You see what I mean? So it's really exciting. It's really, really exciting. So filming suspense is, like Jonathan says here, Hitchcock was a master at it. And it's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible. So here's Terry. Have you seen The Running Man with Arnold and Richard Dawson from Hogan's Heroes? Yes. Yes. And I like it. I liked it a lot. Yeah. Not one of my favorites, but I really did like it. I thought, again, I think it's cool because a lot of that stuff had to be practical. You know, you didn't get a lot of, when they tried to put computer graphics in the early days, it didn't really work so well, you know, but now if you can balance between the two, you've got, what is it? Hunger Games. And some of those Hunger Games are good and some of them are ridiculous, but at least it's easier for them to do what they need to do when they're doing the battles. Pat says, I saw that Amazon has Commando on Blu-ray. Check it out. Might be what you're looking for. I love Strangers on a Train. Now, Strangers on a Train is great. That's great, Pat. What a great movie. Especially the woman who plays the wife at the amusement park with the cat's eye glasses. We actually met her at an event. And my husband was so shocked to meet her that he said something that I think sort of hurt her feelings. But, you know, sometimes you're so shocked to meet someone, you're like, that was you? You know, you kind of say that. And then you don't mean it the way it comes out. Do you know what I mean? And, but, oh, wow, she is really scary in that. Yeah, that's yeah. Yes, I love that movie. I love that movie. Also, Shadow of a Doubt, which you can go and see the train station still in Santa Rosa. Yeah, you can stand there and feel that, all those vibes, those Hitchcock vibes. I love doing that too. We talked about that the other day. Yes, we did. The fog. I can only imagine how awesome the fog would be in black and white. Yeah, wouldn't it? Would really be so. Antonio Bay. Just so good. It's so suspense. He nailed it. I actually got to meet John Carpenter. His wife was at the time Adrienne Barbeau, and I met her too. And I remember telling Adrienne that when's your husband going to do another ghost story like that? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And she smiled. I said, you were great in it. Everyone was great in it. What a great movie. I love ghost stories. Please, please beg him to do another one. And she smiled. I was at a photomat store. Many of you are going to go, what the hell's a photomat store? Yes, it's a thing of the past. Those of you know what a photomat store is. Yay for you. I love you. But she came up there to develop some film, and I just fawned all over her for that movie. And then later I met John Carpenter at a video store when there were such things. And he was in a line, and I stood in line to tell him that I loved his ghost story and would he please do another one. It doesn't even have to be the fog. Just I think he had I said, you have an ability to tell a really compelling ghost story, and I hope that you will do another one soon. And he said, I don't think so, but thank you. Yeah, I really loved his ghost stories. I thought that was the best, Retro classic is me, Terry. That's you for real. He's updating you on his fan, not fans like us, but fans that do this. Early in the comments, if you've joined us later, you can learn about charging batteries and why it's a good idea and how it helps you save the life expectancy of your fan and stay cool in places like Florida. So that's what he is doing now. Joe says, yeah, the Bedford incident, and he gives you the date. He always does. He's very good. I need to see that one. Oh, Joe, it's so good. It's so good. And you will duplicate my face. Because, the thing about those black and white movies is they were bold. They were very, very bold. You didn't necessarily know if your lead was going to survive in those films, right? Like you would see a film and then they go like Wuthering Heights, which is another one I love. Love story. You don't know if the people are going to survive or not. You don't know. In today's world, especially in a Disney film, you know that if it's the lead, they're safe. And so even if they're put in jeopardy in dire situations, you know that Disney won't kill them. Okay. They just won't do it. So you feel a little safe in that area, and that's okay. It's not that this is bad. It's just that when you watch the black and white films, you're never sure. You're never sure they're going to live. And that is an added piece of suspense when you watch those films. I mean, across the board, you just don't know. And it really is interesting. It's very interesting. It's a whole different thing to mess with your head. Right, Joe? I mean, those kind of movies where people, and I don't want to tell you any, because like I said, I don't want you to have that bit of information. I want you to feel, if you decide to dig into some of these black and white films, you will have the ability to feel what we felt, which is why a lot of people are saying, dip a toe in those black and white movies. You won't be disappointed in some of them. Some, but others, like my husband watches film noir. YouTube has blocks of film noir that is very obscure. Actors you may not have heard of. Once in a while, you'll see one super young. He's under a different name, et cetera, et cetera. And he just lets them roll. And some of them are really interesting. But again, you don't know if your hero is going to die or not. because back then all bets were off. Really interesting and very cool. Right, Joe? Very cool. Terry, did you ever see Down Periscope? Yes. And she's the lady that is good in yes. Yes, I did. Yes. 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 You made me think of Down Periscope, made me think of the one with Vincent Price. What's it called? Joe, you can help me out with this. I know you'll know what this one is. Where he makes the beautiful robots. It's some cheesy movie. It's so good. Vincent Price plays a scientist and he does these army of women robots. And it's really the cheesy technicolor and the sounds like from Voyage, the original Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea series. And the women are coming off in, it's really good. Max Helm and the something. You'll be able to tell me, Joe, because you'll remember it. I would love to try mulberries. I don't think I've ever had them before. My favorite berry is the boysenberry. Oh my God, I love boysenberry. Anything. These are them. These are them. I don't know if people sell them. Like sell them. This woman was in my art class, and she brought a bag of them. And they are long. Like the berry is like long. It hangs down like this. So it looks a little odd. You're not so sure. You don't sure about them. And what you do is you grab them and you bite the green part at the top. So you hold it by this, then you eat them like this. Oh my God, they're so good. I wish I had some left, but we gobbled them all up. Yes, the German guy did the redesign of the plane in both. I just love that guy. I love that guy in the first movie. He's just the guy you love to hate. Look at Iron Eagle movies. The first was good. Second one was The Pits. And the third Iron Eagle, Three Aces, was good. With the World War II was good. And with Commando, he could have been carrying a balsa wood tree. If it was anybody else, like Star Trek, what is it? Star Trek 4? No, 3, where Shatner is climbing the rock climbing and it's not him. And there's no doubt it's not him. He comes, they cut back and it's this lean, mean climbing machine. And he comes over the edge and you're like, no, you didn't. It's really bad. It's really bad. But 4 is really good. Star Trek 4 is really good about the saving of the whales. That one's really good. So yeah. I love True Lies. Great cast. Love Jamie Lee and the attempt at the pole dancing. That is classic. Okay, those two in that movie, classic. They were both so adorable. And I just, you know what? I missed an opportunity on Saturday because I saw Tom Arnold. And I said, there's a movie with Tom Arnold that is memorable for me. This is that movie. Did not think of it. Doggone it. I hope I'm at an appearance while Tom shows again so I can tell him how much I loved him in True Lies. He is so funny in that movie. And I love everybody in it, but wow. Missed opportunity. Yep. I follow 2 different voice actors who do perfect Arnold impersonations on Instagram, and they regularly tag Arnold in videos they do in his voice. Does Arnold respond, Joe? Or does he kind of go, I'm coming for you? The Expendables movies are great. All the old action stars in one film, and they crack on each other. Bruce Willis, Arnold. You have been back enough. Yeah, I think those are fun. They're not some of my top. Right Stuff is one that comes to mind where you pull together a lot of actors that are, and then there was one that was later that had about 6 of them in it that I love too, where they were going to be in space. And I thought that was brilliant. Expendables, the first one I liked. I don't remember the others. I'll have to look them up again, Mike. It sounds great. Mike says I didn't have to look up. 4 for the doctor, 7 years. He just remembered it. Yeah, why? Because you were a fan of Tom Baker, I'll bet. That's why. Yes, the slee stacks. That's right. My husband came up with the same thing, Joe. I was describing them to him because I have never watched Land of Lost. Now, here's the thing. Neither had my husband, but he remembered the characters. I don't know if they were on a cereal box or something, but my husband's a reader, so that could have been the case, right? In the 5th Doctor story, the 5 doctors, one of the actresses was pregnant. So to make her costume, they wrapped her in bubble wrap. I'll bet you she loved that, not. Yikes, man, right? The Carpenter version is closer to the original 1938 novella. Yes, that's what my husband said too. And I still didn't like it. Like I said, some lines I loved, tied to this chair, and I left out a word. I love that one. You gotta be kidding. Thought that was cool. And several others that were great lines, but did not. Movie didn't do it for me. My husband loves that movie. He thinks that movie's very good. Not to my taste. Just didn't like it. Too many effects, not enough story, in my opinion. Interesting that James Whitmore was in both movies, The Thing from Another World, currently on Tubi, and Them. Yeah, but Them is where the great stories come from. Really good stories. I'm so proud to have asked that question. I was on my game on that day. Yes, indeed. The line about Gum Crazy Mike said from John Carpenter's They Live, Roddy Piper says it. Yeah, that Roddy Piper movie is another one that's a fun movie, isn't it? Cheesy, but really fun. I just thought that was a fun movie. Everyone says, oh, that movie is so cheesy, but that was fun. I should watch it again. They Live. I like They Live. The puppets are a little bit weird, but you know. The scariest movie with lots of gore is called The Political Murderers. It's all gore running around with an axe. LOL. Kidding, there's no such movie. I've heard one called I can't remember what it was called. I have to ask my husband. He said he watched it by accident and he never wants to watch it again. It's so horrible. It's really, really gory and creepy and uncomfortable. Not scary, uncomfortable. And I think a lot of these movies, there are a lot of gore, that's exactly what happens, is you get uncomfortable. Yeah, not the same. Terry would be saying, cheesy, cheesy. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, you're right. So in Psycho, 2 points not seen on the actress. LOL, I'm bad. I got to tell you, to do what she does is incredible in that movie. When you start to hear the work that they had to go to make that movie, it's impressive. It's impressive, which is why I like behind the scenes, because it always opens up things that I didn't realize, and I appreciate them more. Like I have a friend who's a stunt woman, and she says when you slip on the floor and fall on your back, that's one of the hardest stunts you can ever do. I believe her, because nowadays we don't actually get to see someone slip and fall in one take. What they'll do is they'll do the slip, and then the fall will happen in another take. They'll cut in between, and that's to protect the stuntman, because it is a very, very dangerous fall. It's a dangerous stunt. You'd think it'd be, 13 stories up falling, but she says, no, you got everyone and their brother watching out for you there. But the slip and fall sometimes can be damaging, and you never recover. So it was very interesting to hear that too. Alfred was very demanding of her on many films. This one put her in the hospital. The Birds put her in the hospital to be Edrin. And she doesn't remember it with affection. Mike says, Wednesday is my birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mike Pruitt. A little early. Happy birthday to you. In the flying scene of The Great American Hero with Ralph, when Ralph saved Bill and they're flying for 30 seconds, they jumped out of a plane and filmed it. Why falling? And Ralph has his chute under his cape. Yikes! I did not know that. That is terrifying. That is terrifying. Yikes! How did you meet Adrienne Barbeau at a photomat when were you working there? Yep. It was a drive-through only. Yep. A little hut where you developed your film, and there I was in the booth doing that. Why did I choose that as one of the jobs that I wanted to do? Because no one was looking over my shoulder making me work. I could draw, I could sketch, I could paint, I could do whatever, as long as my booth was up and running perfectly. I also love talking to people. Some of them wanted to show me pictures. Others wanted to show me pictures that were not tasty. Various things like that. Pretty scary at some points because you are alone in a little booth. But I could decorate my booth during the holidays, and I won a trophy I still have today for having the finest Halloween booth in Southern California. And if you want to see that trophy, just ask me, and I'll bring it on Friday. Okay? Yeah. Yep. Thank you for remembering, Joe. But yes, the photomat booth was my dwelling. I was at a photomat booth, Southern California, off of Whitsett and Riverside, if you know what that is. And was it Whitsett and Riverside? No, it was Whitsett and Oxnard. And it was near where she lived, I guess. And she walked up and wanted to film developed, and I knew it was her immediately. I mean, how do you miss Adrienne Barbeau? This happened the same with Linda Blair. I was at another photomat store, and Linda drove up, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I wish you weren't in your car because you're probably in a hurry, Linda. But let me tell you, I loved you in The Exorcist, and I really wanted to know what it was like for a little girl of your age to do such a film." And she said, that is one of the questions she's asked most of the time, because it is quite a rough film to put your little girl in. And I never said that I thought it was a rough film to put your little girl in, but I said, you've got to have stories, because that is the last thing you think of, is such a young girl going through that. And she nodded, and I said, I hope to see you again, and maybe you'll have more time to tell me because I've always been wondering how you felt about that. She's an amazing lady, a lot of fun, Linda Blair. But that was wild. I mean, I read the book. I thought the movie was fun, and I thought she did a fantastic job. So, wow. Yeah, wow. Waiting for my 35 Miller film photos from my cell phone, have to put the phone in the developer. Like, you're funny. So now he says his fan finally stopped at 2 hours, 43 minutes. The other is still going. And it's Star Trek V is climbing the cliff. Yeah, that one was awful. That was awful. That movie was terrible. Star Trek V, where they go camping, is so-called Shatner. It's like, ow, 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 Jonathan. It's so bad. It's like he's going like they have a climber, like a real young, buff climber, and then the old man climber. It's just so bad. We knew the job was going to be dangerous when we saw that. We just knew it. And we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it. Retro classic. Dr. Goldfoot. That's it. I love you, man. See, I'm so happy to have you guys here, because if I can't think of it, y'all do. And thank you for doing that. And the Bikini Machine and Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs. Guys, you got to check these out. If you want to see a movie that's cheesy and silly and just plain popcorn fodder, these are them. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you guys say so? Yeah. The effects in Star Trek V were bad, not like 2, 3, and 4. Everything was bad in 5. You are being very generous, Mike. Yes, Arnold has actually met them both before, and they did their impressions in front of him. Well, that was nice of him, wasn't it? Don't you love it when an actor doesn't say, "What are you trying to do? Take my job." They just roll with it. You know, don't you just love that? I love that. I think that's really cool. The Right Stuff is a fave. So well casted. Yes, it is of mine too. Great movie. Uh uh Great movie. Armageddon with Clint Eastwood. Did you spell that right, Mike? Because I'm like, what is that movie? In 1997, when we went to WDW, I had a 35 millimeter camera. I had around 15, 20 rolls of film and a bandolier belt over my shoulder with the rolls of film, looking a lot like Chewbacca, huh? Joe Penny says, I remember the stunt in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, when the T-100 hijacks a semi-truck when chasing John Connor. He pulls the driver out of the cab and throws him to the ground, and the camera follows the driver falling, even though he's wearing a hard hat. It really looks like he whacks his head hard on the street. Every time I see it, it's like, ow. Yeah, freaky, huh? Yeah. What a great Terminator 1 and 2, really good together, aren't they? Aren't those just yummy together films? And you love the sequence in the film because the actress who plays the mother, again, you guys can tell me what her name is. But anyway, she's a twin. So you get to see her actually see the flashback in her mind, and they film it because they film her twin sister. And that is so cool. I mean, that is really, really cool. Terminator, 2 beautiful films. A little scary nowadays as we go into AI, but really amazing. Linda Hamilton. All of a sudden, boof, yay. Linda Hamilton is a twin. So in the second film, when she visualizes all that's gone through her, she sees it happening. That's her sister. When she runs up to the fence in her vision or dream or whatever. Isn't that great? It's so good. It's so good. It's yummy, yummy, yummy. I used to do darkroom photography, learned it before digital came. Skills, still use it today, even with the digital age, but never became the 1 hour photo man working at the shop. No, that's a little jarring, isn't it? Yes, Jonathan. I like that movie though, because it shows Robin Williams in a different. I met Robin years ago. Obviously years ago, he's passed now, but Robin was always kind of these sort of kind of characters, the genie he reads for, and it's always that kind of character. But in 1 hour photo, he's very, very disciplined, very, very calm, and I met him at a screening where they showed this movie, and he gave a talk after, and that was my question. How did you do this character that is so reserved, like even not a lot of words, not real goofy, really, really strict? And he said that every 20 minutes he had to have them stop, and it was like Tourette syndrome. He went, that's what he said, because he had to just get out of that, because it was real disciplined acting for him. He did a great job in that movie too. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I feel you. And congratulations on the darkroom. Star Trek V, The Search for Plot and Better Effects. Oh man, that movie. Just so bad. And Joe, thank you. I always can count on you. Terry, ever see the movie is it Vindicator or Vindicaster? See, I'm not sure what it is, but I'll go look. And Clint Eastwood's in it. I got to see it because I try to watch every Clint Eastwood movie, good and bad. So I will look for it. Okay. Vindicator. Yes. Cheesy ripoff of the Terminator. Is it good though? And it's got Clint Eastwood in it. Really? Why do I not know this movie? Wow. It's 3 p.m. already. Noon on the West Coast. Do you have stuff to do? I do. And what's weird. Oh, I see it. I see it. I was looking at the round time. See, we're chatty, 2 hours and 13 minutes. See, when I got a good thing to talk about, this is going to make an amazing podcast from sound, isn't it? Yes, it is. I'm getting better at this. And you're right. It's 12 o'clock and it's 3 o'clock on the East Coast. And you all have spent a bit of time with me. Mwah, mwah, mwah. time to go. Guys, do something nice for someone else. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. So kind of you to join me today. Just thrills me to no end. No Clint Eastwood in it. No Clint Eastwood in it. The Vindicator. I'll find out what it is, okay? But that makes me feel better because I thought I had missed one. Things. Guys, do something nice for someone else. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. You've made me feel great today. This is definitely an excellent talk back and forth. I love talking movies with people. This could be what this channel turns into. Even if I have a few things to talk about Disney, I will, but I love talking film. So if that's what you like, be sure to let me know and I'll do it more because I love it. I love it. I love it. And here is 3 hours, 2 fans slowing down. So rechargeable batteries is the watchword from Crazy Mike today. And guys, thank you. And for those of you who have not experienced black and white films or have only dipped a toe in the water, do yourself a favor. If you love movies, these are going to knock your socks off. They are so good. But understand that in today's world, people like to move the camera around really fast. I think this is why Everything Everywhere All at Once was not a movie to my taste. I like to sit and absorb. And this is what these movies do. These black and white films do, is you start to feel and you start to think for yourself and it rises up. So it's really good. Movie talk. I'd love it, Joe. I'd love to do it. I love talking with you guys about this stuff. Have a great rest of your day, says Debbie, and I agree. Guys, be well, be safe, and see you Friday. Bye for now.